Over the years, Bollywood has taken several cracks in coming up with a good horror movie. And after several disasters all these years, they finally seem to be getting the hang of it. This has been the case with the movie that we're going to talk about today, which is the recently released horror comedy, Bhoot Police. What's up, all you showmen and showwomen around the world? Welcome to another edition of ShowmaNation. If you're new to this channel, then make sure to hit the subscribe button with the bell icon, and make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram by clicking on the links in the description box so that you guys get regular updates about the channel and about my videos. Now, with that out of the way, Bhoot Police is a horror comedy movie that stars Saif Ali Khan, who's best known for his movies such as Hum Tum, Jawani Janman, Omkara, and many, many more. And it also has Arjun Kapoor, who's best known for his movies such as Finding Fanny and Sandeep or Pinky Farah. For supporting actors, we have Yami Gautam, who's best known for her movies such as Kabil and Bala, and we also have the really beautiful Jacqueline Fernandez, who's best known for her movies such as Kick and A Gentleman. The movie begins with two brothers, Vibhuti, played by Saif Ali Khan, and Chiranjeev, played by Arjun Kapoor, and we see that these two brothers run a shady exorcist business that has them travel all over the country scamming people. The two brothers are polar opposites. We have Vibhuti, who's a skeptic and he just takes advantage of other people's superstitions and blind faith, and then we have Chiranjeev, who truly believes in what they do. And amidst all this, they get approached by this tea estate owner named Maya, played by Yami Gautam, who hires them to get rid of this paranormal entity known as Kichkandi that has been haunting the workers at our tea estate. And then as the movie goes on, we see these two quirky yet charming brothers unfold the many mysteries that awaits them at the tea estate, such as, are there really any ghosts? Was Vibhuti's skepticism right all along? Or is he in for a harsh reality check? All these questions are answered as the movie goes on. Now that was a little premise of the film, and now if I have to point out all the good parts, then I'll start with anyone who has watched the hit TV show Supernatural can easily spot the resemblance from a mile away. As just like the show, this movie also has two brothers who are ghost hunters with an estranged father who has a mysterious story of his own. And even then so, the movie has its own flair and flavor. The best part of this movie were the dialogues and the jokes. I mean, it is a horror comedy, but they relied more on the comedy than the horror, and the movie was extremely hilarious with some really clever jokes that are based on viral trends that are just bound to blow you up. The movie was shot in some really beautiful locations of Dharamshala and Rajasthan, and the cinematography that was used perfectly captured the eerie atmosphere that this horror comedy needed to thrive. Besides that, the acting of this movie was also top-notch, as all the actors involved complemented each other really well, especially Saif Ali Khan and Arjun Kapoor. Because just like Sam and Dean from Supernatural, these two guys had some really good chemistry together, and their contrasting beliefs will thoroughly entertain you throughout. Arjun Kapoor actually did a really good job as the shy, naive believer, and I must say guys that he's actually improving quite drastically with every new role that he's getting. And besides him, Yami Gautam and Jacqueline were also very good in their roles, although Jacqueline's one was a bit weird because firstly her role was a bit uninspired, as it was pretty much the same thing that she pretty much does in all her movies. And besides that, some of the motivations behind her character's actions were left unanswered, so her part was a bit weak, I would say. Weakest of the lot for sure. The one man who absolutely stood out was Saif Ali Khan, as he excels in his role as this charismatic street smart skeptic, and he shows his vast range yet again as he keeps on challenging and reinventing himself with such new kind of roles. Of all the Khans in Bollywood, I would say he's actually been the one who has always been underrated, because over the years he's been the only one other than Amir Khan to have introduced new kinds of movies to the Indian film audience and the industry, such as Hum Tum, Being Cyrus, and Go Go Gone, and now with Bhoot Police. And I must say that people have been sleeping on this guy all along, whereas in reality, he's actually up there with the very best of the best. His exceptional comic timing, and also the fact that he pretty much carries everyone alongside him, makes him the MVP of this movie. Now that was all the good parts of the film, and now if I have to point out the shitty parts, then I'll start with... Now guys, while I really had a good time watching this movie, it did have quite a bit of flaws. Like, for starters, the movie relied more on the comedic side of things than the horror, and that was a bit of a disappointment as I was expecting a bit more blend of both, and I was actually hoping for some legitimate horror sequences or scenes, but there weren't any. Like, the CGI that was used on the ghost was actually really bad, as it honestly felt like Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy if he had third-degree burns. Then the plot also was quite weak and sometimes predictable, and it didn't have that mystic element to it which it desperately needed. The direction and the screenplay weren't the best either, because at times it felt a bit slow and it wasn't as captivating as it should have been, as at times it felt like the movie dragged out longer than it should have. Then lastly, the climax of this movie was quite dull, as by the end things just get a bit too goofy for their own good, and that kind of hurt the credibility of the film. Now that was all the good parts and the shitty parts. Now it's time for my verdict. After years and years of torturing us with disasters, I think we can safely say that Bollywood is finally learning how to do the horror genre right. And this was evident with some of their recent attempts, such as Buddy, Stree, and now with Bhoot Police. While being hilariously enjoyable, the movie was also successful in shedding light into the superstitions and blind faith that riddles the majority of our culture back home. And on top of that, the director was successful in introducing a new kind of universe to the mainstream audience, and has even given the movie an open-ended conclusion which left the door open for further sequels. While by the end, the movie was needlessly childish, I would say it was still a very entertaining film. So all in all, it was a very good attempt. So I'm gonna give this movie a solid 6.8 out of 10. To all you guys who stuck by throughout this video, I just want to say thank you very much, guys, and I really appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed this video, then please like and share this video and subscribe to my channel by hitting the bell icon, because I'm gonna upload new videos every week, and I would love it if you guys are a part of this nation. Until next time, bye for now.